It is the year 1340. 60,000 men stand poised on the hills of southern Spain. They are the army of Sultan Abu al-Hasan of Morocco, a tide of elite Zenata cavalry, Andalusian archers, and veteran infantry summoned for one purpose: to wash away centuries of Christian conquest and reclaim Iberia for Islam. Facing this host, a desperate alliance of just 22,000 soldiers. Outnumbered 3-1, the Christian kingdoms of Castile and Portugal stand as the last, fragile line of defense. Their situation is not just dire, it is hopeless, because their fleet is already at the bottom of the sea. Their admiral is dead. Their coast is open. The king leading this doomed army, Alfonso of Castile, is marching not to a battle, but to a foregone conclusion. And yet, on the banks of a small, muddy river called the Salado, a combination of a madman's gamble, a brilliant deception, and a single fatal lie will, in just 3 hours, lead to one of the most lopsided and decisive victories in medieval history. King Alfonso X, the Avenger, rides from Seville at the head of his army. His fleet is destroyed, his admiral beheaded in the Strait of Gibraltar. The sea is lost. But on the horizon, another column of banners appears. Afonso IV of Portugal, his father-in-law and bitter rival. The two kings meet between their armies. There is no warmth, only a cold, pragmatic nod. The alliance is sealed not in friendship, but in the shared terror of extinction. We cut to the object of their fear, Sultan Abu al-Hasan. He stands before the formidable walls of Tarifa, the coastal fortress that serves as the gateway to Andalusia. On September 22nd, his massive 60,000-man army begins its siege. His plan is simple. Take this port, secure a permanent supply line from Morocco, and the rest of Iberia will fall, city by city. The fortress is the linchpin of his entire grand design. Cut back to Alfonso in Seville, receiving news of the siege. He stands in the royal council chamber, surrounded by his advisors. They expect him to march immediately to Tarifa's relief. Instead, he gives an order that sounds like madness. "Build me a fleet. We have 1 month." His advisors stare in disbelief. The shipyards are empty. The Genoese mercenaries have fled. It's impossible. Alfonso's eyes are cold. "Then make the impossible happen." Back at Tarifa, the Sultan walks his camp, gazing out at the empty Strait of Gibraltar. He sees only the ghosts of the Castilian fleet he so utterly crushed months before. He is arrogant, secure in his power, and here he makes the single greatest mistake of his life. Believing the Christians have no ships left and that the siege will be a long, slow affair, he gives a fateful order: lay up the main warships of his own fleet. Leave only a small squadron at Algeciras. It is a simple economic decision meant to save money. It will instead cost him an empire. The sound of hammers, hundreds of them, echoing day and night. We are in the shipyards of Seville. Castilian shipbuilders, Portuguese sailors, and grim Genoese mercenaries, the best in the world, work at impossible speed. Alfonso walks the docks daily, inspecting every plank, every rope, every sail. His presence drives the men harder. Sleep is a luxury no one can afford. "We sail in October," he tells his captains. They think he's insane, but in October, the impossible happens. A new fleet, smaller but lethal, slips down the river under cover of darkness. Panic erupts in the Sultan's camp. A scout is screaming, pointing to the sea. The new Christian fleet has appeared as if from nowhere, catching the skeletal Marinid squadron by surprise. In a single swift stroke, they seize the strait. Abu al-Hasan's supply line to Morocco is severed. His 60,000 men, once an invincible invasion force, are now trapped in enemy territory with dwindling food. The hunter has become the hunted. Furious, the Sultan lifts the siege of Tarifa. He moves his massive, hungry army to the nearby hills, choosing his ground. He will force the Christians to attack him. He makes his stand by the two small, muddy streams of the Jara and the Rio Salado. October 29th. The Christian army arrives, cresting a rise known as Deer Hill. They look down into the valley, and the sight chills their blood. The camp of the Marinids is a sprawling city, the banners of the Sultanate and his Granadan allies fluttering over miles of tents. The 22,000 Christians are still outnumbered, 3-1. Supplies are already low. A council of war is held. They will attack at dawn. But that night, Alfonso X gives an order that sounds like madness. He will split his already outnumbered army. Under the cover of total darkness, a hand-picked force of 1,000 knights and 4,000 infantry detaches from the Christian camp. Their mission? To move like ghosts, slip past the enemy lines and reinforce the garrison inside Tarifa. We follow the 5,000. They move in silence, brushing aside a light Marinid cavalry screen in the dark. They reach the gates of Tarifa and are swallowed by the city. Miles away, in the Sultan's opulent tent, the Marinid picket commander who let them pass is brought before Abu al-Hasan. He is terrified. To admit that 5,000 men have slipped past him is to admit his own execution, and so he tells the lie that will seal his master's fate. He reports that no Christians have entered Tarifa. The rear is secure. The Sultan believes him. He plans his battle for the dawn, confident that the fortress at his back is a non-threat. Dawn, October 30th, 9 in the morning. The Christian trumpets blow the advance. We focus first on the left flank. King Afonso of Portugal leads his 1,000 knights, reinforced by 3,000 Castilians, in a furious charge up the hill held by the 7,000-strong Granadan army. It is a brutal, swirling melee of cavalry against cavalry. Lances shatter, swords ring against shields, men and horses scream, but the Portuguese king and his knights fight with the ferocity of men defending their homes. The Granadan line, led by Yusuf Ban, shudders, buckles, and then completely breaks, its soldiers fleeing the field. In the first hour, the Christian left flank is secure. Now we shift to the center, where disaster unfolds. Alfonso leads the main Castilian body of infantry and knights into the valley, straight for the Rio Salado. It is a death trap. The riverbank is muddy, the crossings narrow. Abu al-Hasan has placed his best troops there, and a storm of arrows and crossbow bolts from Andalusian archers pins the Castilian vanguard at the water's edge. The advance grinds to a halt. Men are dying in the mud. Seeing his vanguard falter, Alfonso is forced to throw in another 1,500 knights just to force a passage. Slowly, painfully, they gain a foothold on the other side. But the Castilian formations are broken by the chaotic crossing. They are exhausted, disorganized, and exposed. Sultan Abu al-Hasan sees it from his command post on the hill. This is the moment. He unleashes his trump card, his elite, untouched reserve. Thousands of fresh Zenata horsemen, the finest cavalry in North Africa, thunder down the hill in a massive counterattack. They are aimed directly at the person of Alfonso of Fefan. The plan is simple: encircle and destroy the Castilian king. Cut off the head, and the body dies. The Christian line, exhausted and outnumbered, begins to disintegrate under the sheer weight of the charge. This is the crisis point. Alfonso of Fefan, the Avenger, a warrior to his core, draws his sword. He is ready to personally lead a suicidal countercharge into the thick of the melee. But as he spurs his horse forward, a hand grabs his reins. It is the Archbishop of Toledo riding beside him. He physically restrains his king, begging him not to risk his life, and with it, the entire kingdom. "Your Majesty, if you fall, Castile falls." The Castilian rearguard, seeing their king's banner in peril, surges forward with desperate fury, crashing into the Marinid wave. The line holds, just barely, but it is on the verge of total collapse. And then, the trap is sprung. As the entire Marinid army focuses on the desperate struggle in the valley, the gates of Tarifa swing open at their rear. Out charges the 5,000-man Ghost Force, the men who slipped through the darkness the night before. They do not attack the main battle. They slam directly into the Sultan's sprawling, opulent, and thanks to the lie, undefended camp. Panic erupts. The camp's defenders, caught completely by surprise, break and run, flooding towards the main battle, screaming of a new army, of betrayal, of treason. The 5,000 men from Tarifa do not stop to loot the Sultan's treasury. They reform into a tight wedge and charge down the hill with perfect timing, smashing into the rear of the elite Marinid army that is still locked in a life-or-death struggle with Alfonso at the river. The effect is instant, catastrophic. The proud Marinid warriors, who had been fighting fiercely for hours, suddenly find themselves surrounded, attacked from the front by Alfonso and from the rear by the force from Tarifa. Cries of treason shoot through their ranks. All cohesion vanishes. The army, invincible just an hour before, falls apart. Sultan Abu al-Hasan sees the day is lost and flees with his personal bodyguard, never to set foot in Iberia again. The battle, which had hung on a knife's edge, is over by noon, a total rout. Alfonso VII stands in the Sultan's captured tent, surrounded by silk banners and mountains of Moroccan gold. His armor is dented, his sword still bloodied. The Archbishop of Toledo, who hours before had physically restrained him from a suicidal charge, approaches. "Your Majesty, the Archbishop says quietly. You have saved Christendom. Alfonso does not smile. He walks to the tent's entrance and looks out at the Salado Valley. 8,000 Marinid dead lie scattered in the mud. His own losses, fewer than 500. He thinks of Admiral Tenorio beheaded on his own deck, of the fleet at the bottom of the strait, of the lie told by a terrified picket commander that made this victory possible. We did not save Christendom, Alfonso says finally. We bought it time. He turns back to his commanders. Burn the Sultan's camp, all of it. I want Abu al-Hasan to see the smoke from Morocco and know he will never return. The silk banner of the Marinid dynasty, the symbol of their 200-year dream of reconquering Iberia, is torn down and trampled into the mud of the Rio Salado. The victory is absolute. The Sultan's entire camp, his treasury, his family, and his personal banner are captured. The last great North African invasion of Europe is broken forever, not by superior numbers, not by better weapons, but by a madman's gamble, a brilliant deception, and a single, fatal lie. If you enjoyed this story of medieval warfare, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more epic battles from history.